Hey y'all, it's Jennifer. I am coming to you just like I promised in my last video to just bring you some more thoughts, things that the Holy Spirit has shown me. And I'm fighting with the wind out here, so if you see me acting crazy, it's because I'm trying to keep the wind from blowing my hair around too much. But actually today we've gone on a little field trip. I'm getting to bring you guys to a place that is very special to me, and that is my family's home place. This is the Casey family home place. This is the home where my grandparents, Jim and Shirley Casey, mom and pa to me, lived for many, many years, my whole life. And now my father lives here. And this place holds so many memories. Our family has shared so many moments here. And one of the memories that I have that so many of our memories are centered around is our summers spent in the garden. So when I say garden, a lot of you probably think about having a few rows behind your house of stuff, but my family, my grandfather was raised in a farming family, and even though he himself was not a farmer as a career, he did carry that with him into his life. And so when it became gardening season in our family, our garden usually ranged anywhere from 2 to 4 acres in a year. That would be our family garden. And we grew everything that you could think of. In fact, it was a long time before I knew that you actually bought vegetables at the grocery store because we ate what we grew. So farming, gardening, it's in my blood. It's been a part of me all my life. And our summers really centered around working in the garden. You didn't go anywhere. 4th of July was always spent shucking corn and putting up corn. And one of the greatest memories of that time for me was driving the tractor with my grandpa, Pa. And every day that we would be working, after lunch in the afternoon, the ladies and the kids would go back up to the house and get things started for the evening, start working on shucking or shelling or whatever needed to be done. And I would stand at the back porch and watch. And back here, where you see this fence, used to be a path that led back to our garden, which, like I said, consisted of several acres. And it covered this field behind me. And at the end of the day, I would see Pa coming up on his tractor, coming down that path, going to the house. And I got excited because I knew that meant 2 things. 1, it meant the work was almost done for the day. 2, it meant that whenever he got up to the house, after he was done with his work, he would pull up to the house, pull up behind the porch, and I'd go running out, and I would get to drive the tractor with Pa. And so I would jump up, when I was little, I'd have to get help, but I'd step up here, and Pa would be sitting in the seat. I'd stand between his legs, and I'd stand there, and I would start driving the tractor. And we'd drive back, all the way back into the fields, come back to the house, and I thought I was just in control. I thought I was doing something big time. And I was. For me at that time, in my world, I was doing something major. Well, a few years ago, I was thinking about that, and the Lord showed me something. You know, if any of you have ever driven a tractor, then you'll probably understand this a little better. But for those of you who haven't ever been one, I think you might still understand it. See, whenever you get on a tractor, I would be standing right here. So I had no control over the pedals. I had no control over changing the gears, which is over here. And this steering wheel, well, my little hands could move it a little bit, but trying to change direction, that steering wheel has to turn all the way around. So I would be standing there, steering as hard as I could, moving that steering wheel. But in actuality, my grandpa, who was behind me, he was controlling the speed. He was controlling when we slowed down. He controlled whenever we changed gears, whenever we went in a different direction. He was the one that was turning that big steering wheel. I was just there. I thought I had control. I thought I was doing something really important. But in actuality, the whole time my grandpa was behind me, and he was the one that was controlling the whole drive. You know, that's how our life is. That's how our spiritual walk is. A lot of times, you know, if you're a Christian, You never forget about the existence of God. But a lot of times, we forget about the presence of God in our life. We get so caught up in what we're doing in the moment. We forget that behind us and all around us is the Holy Spirit that's really driving everything in our life. The Holy Spirit, if we're really honest, is the one that controls when things happen. The Holy Spirit's the one that determines whenever we take a turn in life. And the Holy Spirit's the one that's going to slow us down whenever things are getting a little bit too fast. You know, I thought that I was the one that had control over this big machine, and it made me feel so proud, and it made me feel like I was really doing something. And sometimes in our lives, we start to feel that way. We feel like we've got control of this great big thing called life. And we start to get a little bit proud. We start to feel like, you know, we're the ones that make the decisions. It's our actions that control everything. Now, don't get me wrong, your actions do have consequences, and they do control some things in your life. But if you know God, if you're a believer, the Holy Spirit is always around you. And I just want us to take a little time right now in this season where things are really out of control for us. A lot of us have been thrown into a position where we've never been before. We can't control where we go or who we get to see. Our finances are maybe out of control. You know, there's a lot of things in life that are very questionable right now. And you may feel like, you know, things are, you know, that you may feel a little uncertain because you don't have control. But let me remind you that just like whenever I was in that tractor and I thought I had control, the whole time it was really Pa. Pa was there, and he was the one that chose when to slow things down, to chose whenever to stop. And so right now, you may be discouraged. You may be anxious, worried, fearful because you feel like you don't have control. But I want to remind you that God is the one really who has always had control. He's the one who has been slowing your life down over the last few weeks. And perhaps He's slowing our lives down because He knows that this is some bumpy terrain and we don't need to be going at breakneck pace. And so I just want to encourage you right now, just remember who's driving the tractor. Remember that He's in control. And even though He may let us have a little bit of wiggle room on that steering wheel, it's Him who really is the one that's powering this machine and this thing called life. And we just have to let Him do it. We have to not fight it, not get in the way, and just let Him have control, guys. So thank you so much. I'm so glad I got to share a little bit of my life with you. This is my home place, my stomping grounds, and it's very near and dear to my heart. And I hope that maybe, you know, some of my memories from the past will help your present. And I love you, and hopefully we'll get to see you again soon.